Yes. Hi,
All
everyone.
right.
I'm Julia, and I am a staff member at the Sierra Club SF Bay chapter. Um, I'm an organizer, and here is a fellow organizer, Josh Lee, who also works at the SF Bay chapter.
Yeah, I'm working on our housing and transportation justice work, and today I'll be walking us through what exactly the People's Bailout is, and then we'll make some art to bring some awareness to it. So many of you probably know that Congress just passed their $2 trillion stimulus package that includes $1,200 to eligible recipients, and as many as 9 in 10 of us will receive this package, or the economic impact payment, as the IRS likes to call it. This is really going to be helpful to many of us, but the vast majority of the funds go to helping preserve the status quo and to bail out corporations. So it's a far cry from what a just financial stimulus for this pandemic could be. And that's why the club and hundreds of other allied organizations have been demanding a people's bailout. A people's bailout is a bailout rooted in justice, and we are demanding that the bailout provide a just recovery by prioritizing and funding those who have been hit first and worst by COVID-19 and the current recession. We will not let Congress let anyone behind, not our working families, health workers, Black and Latinx communities, the undocumented community, Indigenous peoples, and those who are homeless or housing insecure. A people's bailout balances both short and long-term recovery, and we demand that the bailout addresses urgent needs, including testing and treatment, as well as health funding, while also making a down payment on our future, which includes higher wages, meaningful work, and work that contributes to the health of our individuals, communities, and planet. The People's Bailout is based in 5 principles, and any just response to the pandemic will meet these principles. First is that health is the top priority for all people with no exceptions. This means that we need free and accessible coronavirus testing, treatment, and protective equipment for our communities and our hospitals. It means paid sick leave and paid family medical leave for all workers without any exceptions. And it means expanded federal funding for Medicaid, which is often been facing the brunt of attacks from the current administration. The second principle is providing economic relief directly to the people. That means broadening our unemployment insurance and vastly increasing food aid programs like SNAP. It also means extending housing assistance and expanding childcare, particularly when it comes to expanding it for working families. And it also means relieving student debt and halting evictions, foreclosures, and shutoffs of water and electricity when everyone is at their most vulnerable. The third principle is that we must rescue workers and communities, not corporate executives. As we know, this bailout is directed towards helping those who are already the most powerful in our society. And so any financial assistance directed at specific industries must be channeled to workers. Any funds should come with pro-worker conditions, such as company-wide enactment of a $15 per hour minimum wage or higher, and compliance with high road labor standards, like a payment of prevailing wages, and use of project labor agreements, like the work we've been advocating for at the Concord Naval Weapons Base. The fourth principle is that we need to make a down payment on regenerative economy while preventing future crises. This means public investments that rebuild our infrastructure, replacing lead pipes, expanding wind and solar power, building clean and affordable public transit, weatherizing buildings, building and repairing public housing, manufacturing more clean energy goods, including restoring our wetlands and expanding public services that support climate resilience, and that also support regenerative agriculture that's led by family farms. And the fifth principle that we've seen on display most recently in the Wisconsin mail-in voting disaster is that people must not be forced to choose between exercising their rights as citizens and protecting public health. So we must protect our democratic process while protecting one another. It's up to us to hold our government accountable to meeting these standards and to continue to push for a just response to COVID-19. That's why we're asking you guys to join us in this art build and to bring awareness to the People's Bailout and to the need for a just and swift response. And I'll pass it over to Julia to talk us through that art section.
Yeah, thanks, Josh. Yeah, so I think that a lot of us have been feeling frustrated with the response that has been made in relation to the virus crisis in this country, and there are a lot of reasons to feel unable to help or do something, or that there's no better way, but a better bailout is possible. And that's why so many organizations have come together to really push this framework of what a just bailout should look like in this country, to provide direct relief and aid to the American people, especially our working communities and the people who are keeping the country running right now, our essential workers. And there's been a lot of messaging going out around what a people's bailout means, because if you just use the term people's bailout, people might not know exactly what that is. And it's obviously a package of all of these principles that we want to follow, but you can really reach people with these direct messages about what it really is we're fighting for, and including a hashtag to the people's bailout so that people can look more into what this means. So some of the potential messages that we are asking you to draw or paint and just put on a sign and put it somewhere visible outside of your window, on your car, just thinking about how you can get the most people to see it. And we're going to push for a social media campaign for y'all to send us photos of your signs and you holding them, so that we can really get the word out about this and direct people to more resources, how to sign on in support, how to refer this and make this a more household term, the type of bailout that we need. So I made a sign that says we need a people's bailout. And I think that this is a great sign, but you should accompany it with some other message so that people know what that's alluding to. So a main tenet of what a people's bailout is putting people over profit. So that's a really powerful message that has held true of the work our movement does and still remains true today. Good thing about doing this sign is you could use it for a lot of different causes, and it's still a powerful message. Another one is bail out people, not CEOs. So we're really seeing how a lot of the stimulus package that was passed really is trying to put our wealthy elite ahead of the people, and the amount of aid that is going to corporations could really be used in a way that provides more relief to the hundreds of millions of Americans in this country who are suffering right now. Another message we really like is essential, not disposable. We're seeing a lot of messaging going around about our essential workers and they're heroes, but we aren't providing aid to them that treats them like heroes or paying them a wage that matches the sacrifices that they're making for us right now. Essentially, without coupling this, commending them with proper pay and benefits and all the things that we're fighting for, we're treating them as disposable. So really hammering home that these people are essential, not disposable. We shouldn't treat them as such. Same thing with the message, no one is disposable. And obviously right now we're seeing the need for everyone in this country to have access to healthcare. And that's a huge tenet of the people, is that everyone should be taken care of. So healthcare for all. And then we like to help people imagine what's possible and how we come out of this. And I think that the two messages, rebuild stronger and a better world is possible, helps people think more about, okay, how are we going to have a just recovery and come out of this stronger and more resilient? And something that speaks to me a lot is like how this crisis is connected to our vulnerabilities that make us more vulnerable to the climate crisis. And one of the tenets is investing in a regenerative economy. So rebuilding stronger means kind of bringing these things together with a people's bailout to have long-term just recovery as well as immediate relief. And a better world is possible is just a message that really helps people think more about what we're capable of, and people power is strong. And I think a lot of people are coming together in this moment and realizing that a lot of the policies we have in place don't have the best interests of people. So we really want to push for people to imagine what is possible. And if you couple that with the hashtag People's Bailout and get the word out there and get people reading about what we as a collective can push for, that could be super powerful. So I'll just go to this slide quickly. After you make your photo at home, like this is a great thing to do with family, with your kids, grandkids. You know, we're all stuck at home right now and probably have, you know, a minute or two to just kind of sit down with this and think about some messaging and what you want to put out there. So I'll send this information after we finish this live stream, but you can send me your photo and we would love to do a campaign around this on social media. And also you can post it yourself and we would love for you to tag us so we can see it and reshare. And definitely use the hashtag People's Bailout so we can be building up advocacy around this platform. Yeah, so what I'm gonna do now is walk you through how you just make a simple sign. You can make it from a lot of materials at home and it'll kind of just be, I'll do my best to do kind of like a Bob Ross style walkthrough for you guys to follow along with at home. I think the most important part will be me showing you like how I outline things and get started painting, and then after that, you watch me finish painting mine. But I think that will equip you with everything you need. And I want to thank Josh for coming on to the call to give more context to the People's Bailout. And if you have any questions or comments, yeah, feel free to email me my email on the slide at the end, and we would love to answer any more questions. And yeah, Josh, do you want to say any parting words?
Thank you for having me. Enjoy the art. I'll be trying to make my own sign at home in my own time, so I'll do my best as well, and have fun painting.
Thanks, Josh. Cool. So hi, everyone. I may know some of you from doing work at the chapter, and another pastime of mine that I really love to do is making art for action, and I think that this is a really cool people to be harnessing their power at home to do this. So I have an example of a sign I already made that says "We need the People's Bailout," and as I said earlier, I think that it's really important that we put this term People's Bailout out there, but we also create a message that alludes to it so that people see a message that speaks to them and pulls them in and then knows what we're fighting for. This is a great moment where, with such overwhelming chaos and sorrow and anxiety in the world, there are people organizing to have a better form of relief and aid to our people. And we definitely want people to garner their support around this platform in this time of need so that our people, this country, can be well taken care of. So the message I'm going to use for my other sign is essential, not disposable. I personally feel like I would love to put this message out there because it makes people think like, oh yeah, we are saying that these are essential workers, but they are being treated in a kind of disposable way. And it really isn't just or fair. And I'm hearing so many stories about the lack of protection that nurses have and the stress that grocery workers who are feeding us right now are under. And we ought to be compensating them for the sacrifices they are making, having them like have a just wage beyond this crisis, and equip them with the proper protection and care that they need during this time, including, you know, paid sick leave and all the things I wish we had right now. So I'm going to put the message essential, not disposable on mine. And when I have like a lot of words, like also these are kind of long words, I like to just kind of draft it out ahead of time. So I'm going to get a piece of paper, and I encourage you guys to do this too. As I said, you can use any kind of base for your sign. So I'm using fabric. You can use just computer paper if you have a poster board, cardboard. I have a piece of plywood behind here, so you can use plywood. whatever you think like will help get the message out. And I would say what I would stress the most is use clear block letters that are legible, especially because this will be hanging out of your, most likely the window of your home, and you want people to be able to see it. And I've used paint and Sharpie on this. So if you have markers at home, crayons, whatever works, use what you have. I know that we can't all go out and get materials. Yeah, so what I would do is draft out what my sign is going to look like. So I have a little square here, and the top line will say essential, and then not in the middle, and then disposable. So just kind of drafting up something like this, if you guys can see that. And what I like to do is find the middle letter, so that when I'm like using the middle of this, I would have not being the middle word along the middle line. And for like words like essential, I kind of just find which letter is in the middle of that word, so I can put that right front and center. So in essential, it's N. And then not would be in the middle here, which the middle letter is O. And disposable, OS are both in the middle. So I have OS here. So I'm going to outline this in pencil first and then do it in Sharpie so more people can see. But now that you have like where the middle letters are, so my N from essentials right here, draw out the word on either side, and this helps just keep it centered, which I think looks nice. And people tend to like write out their signs and then realize after they put the letters on that they are lopsided, and this will just make you feel more secure in your sign, I guess. So essential, not, this, those. So once I have like just the bones of my letters on there, I like to just do simple block letters around them. I would do this myself in a pencil for you guys at home, but I'm going to do it in Sharpie so you can see the outline better. So I would just like basically make my block letters around the outline I put on here. And take your time with this. You don't have to do it quick. It just is a fun thing to do at home. And obviously, like, please, like, be creative with this. I think that there's a lot of ways you can draw more attention to your sign and use graphics or images to, to give it more context if you'd like. And if you're working with kids, like, let them put on the sign what this messaging means to them. And I'm going to be painting my letters in black so you can see them. Okay, so you can see the word essential is on there now. I could probably bring this even a little closer. Essential. And I think the other cool thing for me about doing this is that I do climate advocacy outside of my work with Sierra Club, and I volunteer with the Sunrise Movement. And right now, I think in this moment, a lot of people are thinking about this crisis and how it relates to future crises, and like how do we deal with what's happening now versus the crises that we know are to come with climate change. And so much of our resilience is going to come from how we take care of our communities and how we as a society react to crisis in the future. Obviously, there's a lot of work to be done to mitigate crisis, but also resilience comes in the form of adapting and our response. So I feel like focusing on how we can push our government to treat its people better and to remind our fellow citizens that this isn't the way things have to be and they could be better is super important. I'm feeling a little helpless at home right now, trying to be an advocate and organize while I can't leave the house. And so what I'm able to get online, what I'm able to put out my window right now feels super important. And I think that a lot of you who do this exercise will feel some power in doing it as well. Okay. And I'm going to throw a comma in here, essential, comma, not disposable. Great. So once you have your letters done, you just paint it in, and you can use whatever colors you like. The People's Bailout website uses black and red. So if those are colors you want to use that speak to you, please do. I'm just kind of using the paints I have available at home, so I have black and green. And I feel like the essential, not disposable message is pretty serious, so I want to do it in black. I think red would also have that effect for people. And if you're painting on fabric, make sure that you have something behind it that you're willing to get a little messy. I use this piece of plywood for most things that I paint on my easel. And I've been having trouble with the paint being too thick, so I try to water it down a little in a little cup. And for those of you tuning in, most of the work of putting this sign together pretty much ends here. Once you have your letters outlined and whatever drawings you want to add to it on there, it's kind of just painting inside the lines, so you're welcome to watch me do that part, but also I think from here you can take it. In terms of like pictures you could add to help amplify the message, I think that like thinking about who our essential workers are could be a good way to show some imagery. So maybe like a mask that like nurses would wear, or like an apron of a grocery clerk, who are super essential workers and definitely deserve more care. So, or even just thinking about anybody in your community who you feel like is providing essential services and really stepping up right now. It's good to think about those people and hold them in mind when you're thinking about your messaging. We also have a blog post up on Facebook about the People's Bailout, and we kind of just outline the principles and the different points that are like more salient or concrete plans that a People's Bailout would entail for what we would do. So I encourage you to go on our website, sierraclub.org/sfbay, and go to the blog. We have a blog post on this that you can read to get more context. And also you can go to peoplesbailout.org to sign a petition and learn more about this and see all of the other organizations that have signed on to this platform. It's a really great amount of awesome organizations doing this work right now. And we're all doing what we can right now to get the word out. The other thing I want to mention that I can also send in a follow-up email is, while we wait for these checks to come in from the government and we advocate for them to provide a better bailout, there is a lot of work to be doing on the ground. And I think that so much of our resilience in this moment has come from the mutual aid efforts we've seen in communities. So how communities are stepping up and filling in the gaps that policy isn't providing right now. We have tried to compile a pretty comprehensive list of resources in the Bay Area that go, some of them are even more national resources for how you can help your communities, or if you are somebody who is in need of some aid, and that's as simple as needing someone to like go pick up groceries for you, or maybe a prescription. Just if you are a vulnerable population and you don't feel comfortable leaving your home and putting yourself at risk, there are people who are doing that, and you should not hesitate to get aid from your community. We all have to show up for each other right now. So I'll send out the document as well for our mutual aid form. But definitely check that out. And there are some other great organizations who are doing awesome work through donations to get aid out to people, and are still working full-time as essential workers themselves to get people housing, groceries, just helping people meet their basic needs right now. So I would definitely recommend checking those out and giving money if you can and are able to. They're also on the mutual aid document. If you're somebody who is working right now and you find yourself, I mean, in that case, you would be an essential worker. It might be good to get your sign out on your car or something so more people will see it. I know that in my neighborhood, a lot of people are going on walks now, so I've already had some signs out on my porch for other causes, and have noticed some people stopping and taking pictures. A lot of people right now are spending a good amount of their day online and on social media, so if someone takes a picture and posts it, it's a powerful way to get a message out, since we can't be holding in-person actions or meeting with each other in person. So definitely make one of these signs, put it in a visible place, and post it yourself and send us a picture so we can show some community support around this. And this is, the People's Ballot is something that Sierra Club as a national organization has signed on to. So I'm sure that Sierra Club chapters around the country are trying to build some advocacy around this as well. And for me, it's been a really helpful framework to think about, you know, what can we do in this moment, and like, what can we rally around? I think it's been really helpful to know that there are groups who have been thinking about this and put something out there that I think if most people read it, they would feel like it's the right way for us to go, and it's the right asks to make. I don't think it's crazy to ask the government to take care of its people before corporations. And also, if you have kids at home and are making these signs with them, this is a really fun thing for you to like outline the letters for them and have them paint inside the lines, and then you can just step away and let them do that for a while. As you can see, it takes some time. So and after I'm done with this, once it dries, I might just outline the letters again where there's any rough edges with a Sharpie, just to make it look really crisp. But from far away, you can't really see, so you don't have to worry about it being perfect. It's more important that you get the message out there. And as I said, if you're not making a sign that's specific to the People's Bailout. So if you made a sign that said essential, not disposable, I would throw on the bottom of it either like we need a People's Bailout or make a separate sign, or include the hashtag for People's Bailout, just so that someone reading this message who, if it resonates with them, they have a place to like look for more information or know that it's linked to an actionable thing. I'll also, in the blog post that we put out, and I can send that in follow-up email for anybody who reaches out. There is a list of our representatives in the Bay Area who have not signed on their support to this platform. And if you are a constituent of theirs, this is a really great ask to call your representative or write them and make this ask. There's a petition on the website, but it is, it's unclear if they're still collecting signatures for it. I think the form is still live, so I think it's worth sending a message, but if you're able to reach out directly, I would do that as well if you are a constituent of one of these folks. All right, I'm coming to the end of the sign. I'll definitely step away to show you guys once I'm done, and it's kind of nice to have the two signs next to each other because they're providing context for one another. So when you're hanging up your signs, definitely, if you have two signs, put them together. And yeah, make sure people know that this is about People's Bailout. Okay. Very simple, doesn't take much time. And then you have two like really powerful messages to put out there. As I said, I'm gonna wait for this to dry a little and clean it up by outlining the edges with the Sharpie again. But I'll be hanging these outside of my window in my house so that people can see essential, not disposable. We need People's Bailout. And hopefully those folks who are passing by in the neighborhood when they're taking a walk can take a picture and look into this more, build some advocacy around it. So I'm happy to post on the live stream these potential messages and my email address so that people can reach out to me if they have any questions, and I can send any follow-up materials. The live stream has in the description the link to the People's Bailout website where you can sign a petition. And I'll also like get a picture up on our social media of this pretty soon so you guys can see it there. And so for all the folks who are going to make a sign at home, I would love for you to email me a photo of you holding your sign. My email is there, julia.foote@sierraclub.org. So we can post a couple photos of people who participate in this action, and use the hashtag People's Bailout because that's how things trend and get bigger. And we really do want to amplify this. And we also encourage you to post your own photo to social media and tag us. So you can post it to Facebook and tag us. And I included on this slide our Twitter handle and our Instagram page, so that you can tag us so we see it and use the hashtag #PeoplesBailout. Yeah, and I want to thank everyone for joining. I'm really looking forward to seeing some photos of some other signs, and please feel free to reach out to me with any questions, comments, and I'm more than happy to help you out. All right. Have a great day, everybody.